Cherie, the meeting is recording, so you can go ahead and get started when you're ready.
Okay, give me just 30. Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It looks like we're still missing a few commissioners, but we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Doesn't look like we have any attendees, but I will go ahead and make the announcement that if there are attendees out there that for some reason I can't see, make sure that you email your comments to climatepubliccomments@chicoca.gov, and I'll repeat that again later in the meeting. So with that, we will move forward. Molly, do you want to do a roll call?
Chair Chastain.
I'm here.
Vice Chair Steeman.
Here.
Commissioner Donnan.
Here.
Commissioner Monfort. Commissioner Nelson.
Here.
And Commissioner Casey. So Monfort and Casey are absent.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder as we move through the meeting that if you are not speaking, please make sure to keep your microphone muted just so we avoid any distracting background noise. And we'll move into item number 2, the consent agenda. Do we have any motions there?
Yeah, motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a second?
Second, I was muted, sorry. You saw me try to do it, didn't you? Okay.
I did, yeah, it's okay. Thanks, Mark. Okay, motion by Commissioner Nelson, second by Steeman. Do we have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0-0. Moving on, item number 3. Our first item under number 3 is our virtual community outreach update. And I'm guessing that might be Nicole.
Yes. Do you know, am I able to share my screen?
You should be able to go now.
Perfect. Okay. I just have a couple slides. We wanted to give a quick update on all of the public awareness efforts that we have been implementing, and then just sort of some of our preliminary results of engagement for the online community workshop that is still going on. And just a quick precursor, we have extended the deadline until next Tuesday, December 15th. So this is kind of also a kind of final call to action with all of you. We would really appreciate, one last push to all of your communication channels and anybody else who you think would be interested in participating. So let me just quickly pull this up. Okay, can all of you see that?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. I was going to say, I saw a lot of nods. So, okay. So first, I just wanted to walk us through and give an overview. I think all of you had a chance to preview the online workshop that we have up on chicoclimate.com. You can see here just some screenshots of some of our helpful community partners that have already been sharing the message over the past few weeks with their communication links. So as part of our public awareness and notification campaign, our team has been reaching out to all of the key stakeholders that you saw on our notification plan. Each stakeholder has received at least one, if not two, personal phone calls, as well as a personal follow-up email, and sometimes a direct message on their social media platform, just introducing them to the online workshop opportunity, giving some background information, and then a call to action asking them to share it through an email newsletter, through their social media platforms, their website updates, their meetings that they're having right now, really any links that they have with the organization. And so you can see more than 20 organizations have agreed to share and have been sharing through their communication links. So we have those all listed here. Additionally, our team has joined more than 15 private community social media groups. So I don't know if any of you belong to them, but there's a lot of like mom groups or neighborhood watch groups or just social media or Facebook community groups that people form that they allow you to share information that you think is relevant. So we've been joining those and sharing information that way. And we've also sent out personal emails to more than 200 community members who participated during that first phase of outreach earlier this year. I know that we had more than like 350 responses to that questionnaire, but not everybody provided their email address. So everybody that did has received a personal email letting them know about this opportunity and asking them to participate as well. We've also placed several different geographically targeted social media advertisements in both English and Spanish. So we were able to just hone in and really try to reach residents in the Chico area. So these are some of the graphics that we shared. And then here are some of our preliminary results on those two boosted posts. You can see that we've reached more than 800 community members with our English social media graphic and had a pretty good return rate on the engagement. So essentially reach just means that it has appeared on somebody's newsfeed as you're scrolling. And engagement is if somebody actually interacts with the post in some way, whether it's a like, a comment, even them just clicking on the link to go to the virtual workshop, or if they clicked it to share, anything like that. And then we also have results for the Spanish version of the social media graphic. You can see that we've reached more than 600 community members with that and had 11 engagements. And here on the right is just another screen grab. A local radio station actually shared information about the online workshop, a Spanish radio station, and it looks like they were also able to partner and share that right from the city's social media platform, which I think is great and just brings a little bit more context to the effort. And then we actually just launched this past week a series of other social media infographics. So what we like to do after we've actually gotten some participation in a workshop is we like to share some of our preliminary results, potentially on topics that we think are going to be really engaging for community members. So in our caption, we actually give some of those preliminary numbers. For instance, more than 80% of Chico residents have already shared their support for adding additional bike facilities throughout the city. And 75% of residents have let us know that they would support improving additional infrastructure for zero emission vehicles. And so that is just preliminary results from the comments and responses that we've had to date. We've done that for quite a few other efforts, and sometimes it's nice because somebody may agree or disagree with what the majority has said so far, and sometimes that will help encourage them to participate if they haven't already. So our results to date, we have had more than 1,800 visits to the online workshop. And we've had more than 100 views on that orientation video piece. That's right at the beginning. We've received more than 230 open-ended responses and comments to the workshop. So if you're familiar with it, it's that part where you have to click to add a comment. You can type it in. and say what type of comment yours is. And then you can see here on the right that we've also been having people give thumbs up, thumbs down, and then also responding to each other's comments. So that's been actually really great to see that engagement. So we're able to sort of recreate that public workshop experience where people would have discussions with one another on this online platform. And we've also been able to track all the participants' IP addresses. So right now we are at a total of 47 individual households that have participated. So that is where we're at right now. I'm going to pause. I know that was a lot of information. Are there any questions? And I do just want to reiterate that we have this open for about another 5 days, so through next Tuesday. So that other series of social media infographics, those are running through Tuesday and over the weekend, and those are also boosted as well.
And I just want to add too for the commission that you guys will be getting a detailed document explaining all of the outreach, how many people has participated, just like we did for our last round after the new year. So that will be coming once everything is complete.
Thanks for the update, Nicole. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions right now for her? Knowing that public comments are still open, so make sure that you're sharing that through all of your networks.
So I guess
Mark?
I have one question. So I'm kind of confused. So 47 households have looked at 1,854 page views.
No, so the page views is the number of people that have actually gone to the online workshop page, like they visited chicoclimate.com. They may have reviewed information, they may have watched the video, but those 1,800 views did not directly give comments. So the 47 participating households are the households that have actually provided comments, answered some of those questions. No, we don't only have about 50 houses just continually going to the page.
Got it.
That would be some serious dedication.
Nicole, is that the 47? Is that the people who have created, like put their email in? Like, is that how you're able to get that IP address? So if people didn't put their name in, are they not being counted in that household count?
No, so that household count is inclusive of everybody,
Okay.
even if somebody has remained anonymous. Just part of the platform's capabilities is that we just know all of the IP addresses for someone. So
Cool.
Always watching.
exactly. For this case, for the good, information that can help us improve and monitor along the process.
Now, I read through the comments and there were only, it seemed like a handful of people who were making comments. So I'm glad to know that there were at least many more people that are visiting the page. Okay, any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Thanks. I just had a couple questions, and just as a little bit of a reminder to refresh my memory, and I'm apologize if some of this has been covered. I know we had some stakeholder outreach things that happened in the past. Is there any more of that coming? And is there also anything else? And I realize this may be a scope or a budget issue, but around other direct, community meetings or community input. And just as a little background, last night I attended the North Chico specific plan community meeting, which really is being done by Butte County. It's kind of related to the city of Chico in the future potentially, but it was pretty well attended and it fostered a lot of very direct conversation. I mean, a lot of it was pretty intense, like NIMBY conversation, like don't do this here. But it definitely got a lot of very direct input and a lot of direct comments. And so I'm just kind of wondering on the stakeholder outreach, what else may be coming, or are we done with that, as well as additional community input? Because I think the social media is great, but are there other things? I don't have your scope of work in front of me, but I'm just wondering what else is coming, or is this mostly what we're going to get for now?
I'll just quickly add that there's nothing like NIMBYs to get a lot of participation. So I wouldn't base their participation on a quality platform and community engagement outreach. I think we've gone above and beyond what they've done because I've been part of their effort to do outreach. But
Yeah.
I'll let the Rincon team speak and aim about next phases of any public engagement. And of course, there will be other public engagement as we go through the process of bringing it back to the task force for a recommendation and ultimately council. But I'll let them speak to anything beyond that.
Great. Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah, this is looking at really, we're trying to get most of the feedback that we're going to get during this phase. We don't have much more scheduled to get community feedback on measures and things like that before we draft the final report. We will be going back out and providing the final report and the CEQA document and all that for people to look at and provide comment. But this is the big opportunity. So if you know people who might be interested, they have 5 more days to provide comment and reach out.
Yeah, and I think that message is actually something that we can include in our further notification moving from today, just reminding people that this is going to be their final sort of biggest opportunity to be providing input before the full plan is developed, that first draft.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thanks. Any other questions or comments for Nicole before we move on? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate the update. I look forward to the complete report on how we did with our outreach. I see that we have 1 attendee, so I'm just going to repeat. If you do have any public comments, please make sure that you submit those to climatepubliccomments@chicoca.gov. Make sure that you get that email in, and we'll get to that when we get to public comments. We will move on now to item 3.2, which is measure quantification discussion, the big one for tonight. Ryan, floor is yours. Virtual floor is yours.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I think mostly what I'm hoping to do is hear all of your responses and thoughts and feedback, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. So I don't have a formal presentation to go through or anything like that, but yeah, hoping to have a discussion about what you all thought and any concerns or questions. Go ahead.
Good. Any questions? I think I saw maybe Mark had some.
Oh, I got my questions answered. So those were good answers. I get it now. One of my questions was the CCA is going to be delayed, and now I better understand that basically the CCA is a switch, and as soon as it turns on, it's on. And so there is no cumulative, there is no workup, there is, if it's on by 2030, it meets the plan. My question going back to Brendan is that I do remember that they were really wary of going 100% renewable if they would have the capacity. So I think that would be a question if they have the capacity, or if the imagined capacity, I guess, to be able to hit 100% renewable for Chico by 2030. That would be the only concern. That would be the delayed aspect of it, right? If they're not getting their financing until 2024, 25, would they be able to get to that threshold? So other than that, I understood all the answers and all the questions. And thank you very much for those. Clarified everything. So.
And then I also just want to add, not in response to Mark, but just the broader, I think the commissioners should feel free to provide comments now, later, over the next couple of weeks even. I think you would agree with that, correct, Ryan?
Yeah, anytime you have comments or questions, you should go over and work them.
You kind of lost you.
Right. Yeah, we didn't get any of that. I was going to add the same thing, Brendan, that I myself have not had a chance to fully digest all of everything that was sent to us. So for commissioners, please email any comments or questions that you have to Molly and or Ryan, and we'll make sure that those get answered. I think we'd like to have those by December 18th, which is Friday of next week. So if you haven't had a chance to really dig into those, make sure that you do before next Friday.
And
Yeah, and hopefully you guys can hear me better now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry about that. Please feel free to send any questions you have over and we can work through them. I can respond via email or we can even hop on the phone if that's easier.
I appreciate Mark digesting the entire document, and it really is, it's a lot of information, but it reads like a little bit of a story. I think it's a good read, so don't be too daunted by the size.
I was embarrassed that I geeked out on the footnotes.
That is not something to be embarrassed about.
Yeah, you made my day, Mark. I appreciate it. We put a lot of effort into citing all those assumptions and trying to give you a real defensible document to move forward. So I'm glad someone read through them.
Thank you for that white paper. That was really helpful to understand where they're going now, and or at least where planners think we should be going now. But that was a good white paper. Helpful. I'll make your day again. I've already posted that to my class Blackboard page, so you're now part of the curriculum. Thank you.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah, so I think as Trey said, like we're starting to work towards document drafting and starting to write this up, and the last probably third of the process. So we're going to be in the future probably submitting outlines for the cap to you all to look at, and we can start talking about some other topics around how we want to present this information and other types of things that we can include in the cap beyond just kind of the nuts and bolts of greenhouse gas reductions and things like that. So those are kind of the next steps that we'll be working towards and probably be the topic of our next meetings together.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Mark or Dave or Mike, do you have any other questions or comments at this time?
So just to clarify, if we want to send any additional comments, that would be up until Friday next week that we should send to Molly and Ryan.
That's correct. Friday, December 18th.
Yep. Okay, great.
Dave, any comments or questions? I'm going to take that as a no. Okay, well, that was a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on. If there's no other comments, again, make sure that you get the full review in and send comments to Molly and Ryan by next Friday. So we'll move on to item 3.3, which is an update from our Civic Spark fellow, Austin. What have you been working on, Austin?
Well, hello, everyone. I've been sitting in your meetings for a while now. If you don't know me by now, my name's Austin Powell, and I have the fortune of being your Civic Spark Fellow. Thus far, I guess, in these past 3-4 months that I've been working here, I've been really doing a lot of work on strategizing how to implement adaptation strategies into the general plan, meeting the SB 379 requirements. And thus far in doing so, I've been working a lot on stakeholder engagement to try and get feedback from the public and better understand what they would like to have in these adaptation strategies. So thus far from doing so, I've been doing a lot of research on the side, researching different adaptation strategies that have been founded in California or across the country. But I've also been doing a lot of interviewing with people who have already implemented SB 379 or have done working on survey creation in California. And then in doing so, right now I've been working a lot on a staff and stakeholder survey since I've lost the ability really to meet people in public and do surveys or sort of workshops through that. I've had to do a lot of virtual work in that regard. So right now the staff and stakeholder surveys are being designed to be kind of based around like experiential learning to help apply the climate change impacts that Molly drafted out in the vulnerability assessment and then apply them for the stakeholders to respond, just to get a better understanding of how to proceed. And the goal then of these surveys would then be to be released by the end of this year. And then getting that feedback should then help for me to better understand how to move forward and work on drafting those strategies specifically for the general plan. So yeah, it's a lot. But I've been learning more and more each day and really getting into the weeds and the details now of what's required. And I'm really looking forward to that process.
Yeah, just to kind of echo what Austin said, he's been doing a really good job. And right now we're really just trying to wrap our heads around engagement and how we're going to engage folks on this. And also we're going to be doing this alongside SB 1241, which is our wildfire hazard planning. So there'll be kind of two engagements and general plan amendments happening at once. And we're hoping to kind of mirror what we've been doing for our outreach here, using Conveo. I really liked that platform. I thought it's been working really well, and also doing surveys. So hopefully in the next couple months or weeks here, we can have some sort of draft plan for you guys to look at, and we can get input from you. I would love to have you guys look over our stakeholder list and add any additional people you think we should be reaching out to. I've been having conversations with the Chapman Elementary School principal to try to get that community really involved in this, and would be happy to have any other input from you guys on stakeholder engagement when we get to that time.
Great, thanks, Molly and Austin. Yeah, this is tricky times for sure to try to do public outreach on these important issues. Mark, Dave, or Mike, do you have any questions or comments for Austin?
Oh yeah, I've been keeping all my really hard questions for Austin. No, what is, I guess this is actually more of hard questions for Brendan. So what is the timeline for a general plan amendment here? What are we,
So again, once we get the feedback, which is the important part, the community engagement, and start drafting the document, then it's just a matter of developing a staff report and resolution. And again, as opposed to going to the planning commission, although we may have to make that stop as well because it's an amendment to the general plan. But we would start with a recommendation from the Climate Action Commission on that language, and then that recommendation would be brought to the Planning Commission because per our code, they need to make recommendations to the City Council, and then it would go to the City Council. So I made that sound quick, but as you know, yeah, there's noticing requirements and there are procedures that need to be done and noticing, et cetera. But I think the key part is getting the language developed, and the rest of it shouldn't be that difficult. So the exact time and exact schedule, I'm leaving that to Molly and to Austin. But we want to get it done prior to his departure. We want him to have the experience of bringing it all the way through.
Another thing
I'm sorry.
I just learned this, that SB 379 and 1241 have to go to the Board of Forestation prior to council adoption, and that's a 60-day review on their end as well.
But we are having a pre-meeting with a member of that team as we're developing it here in the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
You're looking to have this done then before August? When do you lose your civics work fellow? When do they?
August 1st.
Yeah.
So a draft. I mean, I don't know full adoption, but at least having the draft.
Oh, okay.
Strategies. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. No,
it was sort of like how it was for me. I brought it to, but it wasn't adopted until after I left.
Yeah.
My fellowship.
Fought over well. Okay. Thank you, Austin. This is awesome. Thank you very much. If you find anything really interesting, please pass it along. Same kind of footnote geek here. So anything good that you locate. Thank you.
That wasn't a hard, Mark. Dave or Mike, any comments or questions for Austin? And Kirk, welcome.
I guess my only, I'm sorry for the echo, I don't know why, but my biggest problem has been participation from the public. And when he said that there was maybe 300 or 600 people that have clicked on the website, and out of 80, 100,000 people, isn't there any way to get more participation?
I'll say, Dave, that that's on par for some of the other things that I'm seeing right now. Like the city of Chico is just doing, or they just closed the public comment period for the local road safety plan. And that had 677 respondents. So I think it's close to on par with what we're seeing for other virtual community outreach situations.
Yeah, I mean, we found the same thing at CARD. When we were trying to do to get some more money, and we didn't get a lot, the consultant didn't get a lot of responses. I think 400. It just my own personal opinion, it seems like we need to get more people involved somehow.
I think, Dave, I think we all share your opinion. That's why AIM spent, I think, a lot of the time explaining the efforts they're going to and the groups they're coordinating with. So it's quite a Herculean effort, the efforts to try to get that feedback. That's kind of what we can do.
It is, and if you have suggestions, I'm sure everybody would love to hear them.
I think they all cost money.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. And just to add as well, Molly and I are really trying to also push integrating like equity into this stakeholder engagement piece. We want to make sure that the stakeholders they're reaching out to are the ones who are also going to be most affected by these impacts in Chico. So we wanted to make sure that we're getting that done right.
Great. Thanks, Austin. Kirk, I see your hand. Yes.
Yeah, I participated in as a planning commissioner in 2 upgrades to the city general plan. And at those meetings, I mean, they were really poorly attended. I mean, we'd get 300 or 400 people at very most. And there was a handful that participated on and on. I mean, at every meeting, but those were the developers because they had it was their bread and butter. I mean, I don't.
And that was in person too.
Yeah, and I can't understand in this case, for example, the report that you attached to the agenda, I can't understand why some of the stakeholders are not raising holy hell or why they aren't really participating. I mean, maybe they are, I don't know. But when I look at electrifying retrofits, there's nobody locally who really cares about heat pumps. I mean, I inquired if the McClellan, that ought to be their business. But their website is really deficient on talking about that stuff. I mean, it's not like they're up and ready to go.
Good
Well,
points.
one of my concerns is as a realtor, for the last 22 years, is some of the the energy sector is, when a house is sold, then there needs to be improvements when it comes to that electrification and in that transition. And nobody's gone to the Board of Realtors to reach out to their prospective clients and things like that, of getting feedback from them.
So I feel like we're getting a bit off topic here. I want to bring us back to Austin and his work. Any other comments or questions for what Austin's working on?
I'll just say one quick thing. I agree with Dave relative to like, wouldn't it be great if we could get more public participation? But it's not for lack of trying, and it seems to be pretty typical and in line with the numbers that we're seeing. So I wish it was more, but it kind of is what it is, and those are the numbers. So I appreciate our team's efforts in trying the outreach. It's tough times with COVID, and even without COVID, they're fairly typical, like Kirk said, of the levels of participation that we would typically see.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll get back to picking on Austin. So What's the most interesting thing you found so far in all of this adaptation stuff, or who's doing the best one, or what have you found so far? Share something fun.
I know one fun thing that I sent it to Molly recently was there is this water square designed in Rotterdam, Netherlands, that is designed for extreme precipitation events, where it's kind of like an amphitheater that has like a soccer fields, like a short soccer field and like a basketball court in the same place. But when there's extreme weather events, the thing is designed to fill up to like over like I think it's like 1,700 meters cubed of water. And I found that really fascinating from like a solution standpoint of implementing like public infrastructure and trying to deal with, say, in the future if Chico has the increased extreme weather events. But I guess overall, like from my experience thus far, I've been really like enjoying the process, I guess per se, and learning more about how adaptation is complementary to what the city of Chico is doing right now in regards to the climate action plan, but then also just learning more of the details of how do you take the ideas that you want from adaptation, and then how do you apply it based upon the institutional structure of the city, the county, the state, and the national government. And that's been really like fascinating to me. I can't really like put like a detailed response, but I've been really like interested in like the abstract concepts and like the work going into it really. I hope that answers your question, Mark.
No, that does. They have a big stormwater retention pond like that out on Humboldt, right by Marshall Junior High. That's supposed to hold all that water that's going to come from all that development. So there's one example. I like it too because the outflow is the only place that they have this giant blackberry bush, because it's the only water in the whole area, right? Because it's getting all the stormwater. So thank you.
Good. Well, thanks, Austin. I mean, you've got an unusual task given the situation that we're in right now. But as you put your plans together, you always know that, and I'm sure I speak for the rest of the commissioners, we're here to help you. Anything that you need as you're putting your plans together, any assistance that we can provide as you pull this together. Don't be afraid to reach out to any of us. I look forward to seeing it come together and getting some updates in the next month or two.
Thank you all.
Cool. Thanks, Austin. I don't see any other questions or comments for Austin, his work. Okay. Moving on then. Item number 4, business from the floor, public comment. Molly, do we have any emails?
We don't. We have none.
Okay. Easy item. Number 5 then, reports and communications.
From staff, or at least from me, all I have is that the deadline for boards and commission recruitment has been extended to January 4th. So if any of you are interested in serving again and have not applied, please get those in. And please also share this with anyone you think might be a good fit. We have received some applications. I'm not sure the total number. I know of 4. I'm hoping to see some more and see some familiar faces in the stack. So happy to answer any questions about that offline, or you can just shoot it over to Stina Cooley, which I emailed you guys her email already. So you should all have that.
And I'll just add that message could go for the other boards and commissions of the city. That people you might think might want to serve. I think the reason it was extended was because we weren't getting a lot of applicants for all the boards and commissions. And some of that might have to do with this virtual engagement and the way we do it now. But I think a year from now, we will hopefully be back to normal.
Go ahead, Mark.
I know when we put this, that was one of the big issues when we put this to commission together. Do you know if there was the expanded outreach that was drawn up? I think like Courtney did it, that we were going to get to more groups, different groups, right? I'm just curious if it ever got changed at all, or the distribution list got changed at all for this and other commissions.
I don't ever see it, but I know there were some commitments made from the clerk's office to do the things that you were acknowledging. There was some stuff that came out as part of the diversity action plan, some things and some commitments that were made during the kind of review of that. So my intent and belief is that that's the case, but I'm not sure.
As a reminder, the last time we did this, all the commission appointments were white. So that's kind of, I'm curious if we got any more applications in that sense, or if we did any more outreach in that sense. But that's above your pay grade.
But thank you.
Brendan, are there vacancies on all commissions or just one or two of them?
Yeah, they all have some kind of similar turnover as the council does. They have terms that are overlapping.
So there should be 4 vacancies on every commission. Or airport, I don't know what goes on with the airport.
Yes, some of them aren't 7 members, some of them are 5, but yes, for the most part, there's probably 4 to 3.
Okay. Okay, we've got some outreach to do. It's a never-ending stream of outreach, I feel like. Any other reports or communications?
Yeah. I've got one question I've seen in the past, and maybe it was some sort of, predecessors to our Climate Action Commission, but I'm wondering about some kind of annual report or communication, to the city council about our activities and what we've been up to. I think in the past, maybe I've seen some things that were at least signed by Mark in that regard of sort of like, hey, this is what we've been up to for the last year. And this is a report that we're sort of sending in. So I don't know. And again, that was sort of, precursors to this specific commission, but I'm wondering if that's something that we should be considering or looking at, sort of, hey, what have we done in the last year since our commission was created, and should we be sending in some kind of report or update of our activities and sort of the value we have produced in the last year for the city of Chico?
So I would say that, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's a good point, Mike. And historically, the Sustainability Task Force did present an annual to council. This is what we've been doing, and this is what we plan to do. My personal feeling on that for right now is that we are semi-close to having the climate action plan in a point that we'll be delivering that to council. And, if our timeline is still something that we're close to adhering to, that would be something that would go to council in, I believe, March or April. So I would defer to presenting the climate action plan to council as the body of work from this commission. But I'll open that up to the rest of the commissioners for comment. Yeah, Mark.
Brendan first.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was a time when the boards and commissions, per council's direction, were asked to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case now. So that's not our protocol. The STF, or the Sustainability Task Force, was in fact an ad hoc working committee. So it's a little different. And I thought at that point, the commission, that task force, with support from staff, believed that was important to kind of let them know what that working committee was doing. Now their responsibilities and roles are codified, when they meet, what they're supposed to be working on. And then I guess I would say I kind of agree with 3, even if you were contemplating such an annual report, in this case, the body of work of what you've been working on will be coming forward. And I think that will speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
That was a kind of question. So it's not a report, but they used to require work plans. No longer annual work plans are no longer required.
Yeah.
Or desired.
Okay.
All right. Great. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to touch on that because when I was looking at, the Climate Action Commission last year, one of the things I did on my due diligence was went back and looked at some of the Sustainability Task Force, that sort of body of knowledge and that work and some of those reports. And I found going through those reports helpful for me just to get up to speed of, some of what the approach was. But I hear what you're saying and it makes sense to me, but I just wanted to ask. So thank you for the background.
On the same note, though, is there any reason why we internally don't have a plan for what we're going to do over the year?
Well, I think with potentially 5 new commissioners coming on in January, I think we should wait until we have our new commission established to develop that work plan, don't you think?
I mean, that'd be fine. And yes, I can appreciate that point very much on a democratic sense. I'm asking just as a policy standpoint, kind of more, is there, should be, and it seems to me that tonight we already laid out what we're going to be doing for the next year. We're going to be doing the climate action plan, and then we're transitioning into the adaptation plan. But it would be nice to, I had to ask when the timeline was, and so it would be nice for all of us to kind of get a sense of that. But it was more in what was coming rather than what we want to do. I very much appreciate Brendan's comment. If you have an annual work plan, then you have to come up with work to do, and that's not necessarily what we want to be doing here. But it would be good to know where we're heading, more than just meeting to meeting.
And I guess I would suggest there probably could be some value to, besides what we know we're doing, which is developing the climate action plan and then ostensibly implementing it. It would be nice to maybe get some feedback from the commission at a future meeting a little bit later in 2021 about other folks they would like to engage with and speak with. I think there's value to that, honestly, because every time some group comes to us and speaks about what they're doing, even the internal folks from Public Works and stuff, I learn a lot, and I would think you would all too. It's surprising to me sometimes how much is happening that's consistent and in line with what you and this group is working on. So maybe some feedback on kind of future speakers, presenters, collaborators, things like that would be a good idea.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And, when we have our full commission reestablished, possibly next month, I think that's an important agenda item for us to talk about.
On that point, I do believe we meet one more time because they extended it, right?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be appointed until February.
Okay.
I don't want to say goodbye, man.
Any other reports and communications?
None from staff.
Okay.
Hello, did you discuss the draft that was attached to the agenda?
Yes, we did.
Oh,
If you have comments or questions about that, make sure that you email that to Molly and/or Ryan.
okay.
Not and/or, definitely Molly.
Definitely.
If you send it just to Molly, she will make sure it gets to Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, was anybody else confused by the percentages that kept getting cited?
Kirk, we've moved on in the agenda.
Okay, all right.
So we'll have to, I don't know that we can go back in the agenda to that, or if that's something that we need to take offline.
Okay. All right.
I can talk with you later about that, and we can coordinate with Ryan and clarify some of your questions.
All right.
Yeah.
I would simply add that I asked some really detailed questions and I got really detailed answers.
Yeah,
So,
I will share that email out to the commission right now, so you guys can all see what Mark asked and how Ryan responded.
Thanks, Molly.
Yeah, thank you. So Kirk, you have until the 18th for any additional comments, questions, and send them in.
Thank
Is
you,
that
thanks.
dated the final report?
That's just when we would like comments, so
Okay.
Ryan can incorporate them and get back to us, to you all.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I was just going to put that reminder out, the comments, questions about the quantification measures need to be to Molly by next Friday. And then we can continue the conversation from there. Seeing no other reports or communications, I'll give it a couple more seconds.
All right, just one final note. So we're assuming that that this group is going to meet in January, given the extension of the application dates.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Just wanted to check because I hadn't put it on my January calendar yet, so I want to make sure.
Good point.
Yep. Okay, that's it.
And I would just add that my seminar in the geography department has been following along this whole process and have created stories about the adaptation or the mitigation measures. And since we should be able to share them with you in January, so.
Honestly, maybe Mark shared a few with me, and honestly, they were really well done. And so maybe 1 or 2 or 3, whatever Mark thinks is appropriate, maybe not all of them, could be shared with the group as part of the meeting.
I'd be happy to do that.
And Mark, that would also, if you could share those with Austin, that would be great. He was actually looking at doing some like scenario situations in the survey, and your class popped into my brain. So please share those with him.
Okay, but I only trade, man. You got to give me something back. So give me some good stuff.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
I think we're all a little feisty. Okay. With that, I am going to close the meeting. Thank you all for being here this evening, for your service on this commission. This has been a crazy, wonky year, and I appreciate all of you powering through in this virtual madness. It's going to continue for at least a little bit longer. So thank you all for being here. Please be safe. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of your year. We will adjourn at 6:52. Our next meeting is Thursday, January 14th. Typo, Molly, I just saw it, 2021. We come back next year, y'all.
I saw
Next
that too.
year.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
Call me on tree.
Anytime. Have a wonderful holiday. Please be safe. And I hope to see all of you on next year, January 14th.